Cruise news time. Well, cruising from the Bahamas, it just got easier, and we may be marching to a time where cruising out of Florida is harder, and another state's gonna sue the cruise. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Lido Loca. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news updates. Well, welcome to Thursday. Welcome to April the 22nd. We got some cruise news popping off. But before we get there, let me talk a little bit about the videos from the last couple days. Interesting scenario for me. I usually don't have much trouble with my videos, but I feel like 2 days ago when I did the video on the vaccines, I wasn't super clear in the way I discussed efficacy, and it seemed like it was causing a lot of confusion in the comments, and so I just didn't want to leave the video up. And yesterday I completely blundered on when the travel level warning changed in the Bahamas. The big takeaway from that story yesterday is that all of the cruise ports that have been targeted for summer cruises, we're talking the Bahamas, St. Martin, Bermuda, Jamaica, all of those countries, plus a whole lot more countries, have a level 4 travel warning in place. A lot of those countries have had that level 4 warning in place for a good period of time during the pandemic. Now I think have 80% of the countries that you can travel to under a level 4 travel restriction. And so a lot of people ask me the question, am I worried that I'm not going to be able to travel to the Bahamas? At this point, that level 4 is not preventing me from flying down to the Bahamas. And then on top of the news yesterday that the level 4 was there for the Bahamas, we got some great news out of the Bahamas. So that's the wrap up on that. Again, apologies. I hate putting up the videos and then taking them down, for many reasons. I don't like to cause confusion out there. Of course, it's my work, so it's really hard to pull my work down on a daily basis, but I would rather pull my work down and not cause confusion than to leave it up there and cause confusion. So that's the explanation on that. Thanks everybody for the positive words in the aftermath of that. And look, I went out yesterday. I started doing some cruise shopping. I got some new clothes. I went to a bookstore for the first time in a long time, and it was so nice. It was very awesome. And so feeling better today, and it's good because we got a lot of cruise news to cover. So there you go. That's the update on the last couple days. I hope that clears that up. And now let's work on today. The first story that I want to talk about is a big announcement coming out of the Bahamas yesterday. Starting on May the 1st, they will be dropping the requirement for international travelers who are vaccinated to get a PCR test to get into the country of the Bahamas. This is big news. I'm getting ready to cruise 50 days from now, June the 11th. I'll be heading to Nassau, Bahamas to board the Adventure of the Seas, Royal Caribbean ship Adventure of the Seas. And you have to get a health visa to get into the Bahamas. And currently, like if you go right now today, you have to provide a negative PCR test regardless of your vaccination status to get into the country. That was a little challenge. There was a time frame, a short window where you had to get that test and upload it before you travel to the Bahamas. I know a lot of people that are going on that cruise. That's been a topic of conversation. How are you going to schedule that out? Well, fortunately for us, it won't be an issue. Starting May the 1st, we will not need that PCR test to get into the Bahamas. That is exciting. We still have to get the health visa. We'll still have to upload our vaccination information. But for people that aren't vaccinated and visiting the Bahamas, they still have that testing requirement. But everybody going on the cruise, a requirement to get on the cruise by Royal Caribbean is to be vaccinated. So a good story for cruisers coming out of the Bahamas. It will be easier to get into that country. That's story number one. I can't believe it's behind us already. Let me take a quick moment to invite you to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Be a part of this virtual community. Stay up to date with everything that's going on in the news. Get notified when new episodes come out by subscribing with the notification bell on, and that way we don't miss anything. Do it. Thank you in advance. Big story number two. We know that the governor here in Florida, Ron DeSantis, wrote an executive order that said that no business in Florida will be allowed to request the vaccination status of their patrons, of somebody wanting to use that business, use that service. And that's an executive order. Well, now that executive order is turning into a law. Now, of course, before something can become a law, it has to be proposed. It has to go through a committee. And yesterday, the Health and Human Services Committee in the state of Florida approved this proposal. It is HB 7047, Emergency Management, and the sponsor of this bill, Representative Tom Leek from the Ormond Beach area. A big tenet of this proposal is to prohibit businesses in Florida from requesting the vaccination status of their patrons. And look, it's not just businesses, they're also extending this prohibition to universities, to schools here in Florida. They will not be allowed to ask someone's COVID-19 vaccine status, and they're putting some teeth into this legislation in the form of a financial penalty if you break the rules, $5,000 per incident. And when Tom Leek was asked how this bill would apply to cruise ships, he echoed what was previously stated by the governor, saying, yeah, cruise ships included. Cruise ships in Florida cannot ask for a passenger's COVID-19 vaccine status, and if they do, they will be fined $5,000 per passenger. How about that? Cruising just got a little harder in Florida if the cruise lines intend to cruise with a vaccine requirement. The only one of the big three cruise lines that have signaled that they will be requiring a vaccine for cruises from the U.S., Norwegian Cruise Line, saying that up until October, all passengers have to be vaccinated to cruise from the U.S. Sets up a battle, I believe, between Norwegian Cruise Line and the state of Florida. If the CDC allows cruising to go forward this summer, then NCL definitely has cruises scheduled to go out of Florida. How will this stack up with their vaccine mandate? And will the state of Florida give? It sure doesn't sound like it. This question's been asked many times in many ways to the leadership here in Florida, and they have been very consistent with their message saying, no, cruise lines are not getting an exemption. The law of the state of Florida is going to prohibit anybody doing business here from asking someone's vaccine status. And look, this isn't the law of the land here in Florida yet. It's a proposal that got approved by its first committee stop. There's still some other things to do. Eventually, this will land on the desk of Governor DeSantis to sign into law if it gets approved in the legislature, but I think there's a good chance of it. And honestly, what happens here in Florida over this prohibition of asking for a vaccine may set precedent for other places in the country. There's a few states that are working to ban the ability of businesses to ask people's vaccine status, and another big cruise state, Texas, is one of those. Other states like Arizona and Montana and Idaho, all looking at putting in executive orders or legislation that would limit businesses' ability to ask people their COVID-19 vaccine status. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm sure there's going to be some legal challenges and all of this stuff, the legislation, the legal challenges. It could delay some cruise lines' ability to cruise out of Florida. So depending who you're cruising with and how this all shakes out, cruising may have just gotten harder for some people cruising out of Florida. Now let's take a swing at cruise story number 3. Of course, we know down here in Florida, the governor, Ron DeSantis, instructed the attorney general of the state to file a lawsuit against the CDC and the administration over the cruise line's inability to sail from the United States, citing the damage that it's doing to the revenue here in Florida, to the workers here in Florida. That suit has been filed. I've not heard any updates on it. I haven't seen, that it's gone to court initially or anything like that, but that is a legit lawsuit that is in play. And now we have another state that's going to join in on that lawsuit. You probably already know who it is. It's not Texas. We talked about Texas also looking to ban asking about vaccines, and they do have a big interest in the cruise business. But there's another state that has a really big interest in the cruise business. We're talking about Alaska. They say that no cruise season this year, combined with last year, is going to equal about $3.2 billion in lost revenue for Alaska. You got people up there, they've done a really good job in Alaska with vaccinations. They're even offering to give you a free vaccine if you come to Alaska. They have a surplus. People aren't asking for it. And so if you want to be an Alaska tourist, you can fly up to Alaska and they'll vaccinate you right there. So that's an incentive that they're putting forth. But they're like Florida. We got workers, we got businesses that are really struggling because of the cruise ban. And now they're saying, okay, nothing's happening, and we will join in in with the lawsuit with Florida to see if we can get something going. So we've got 2 states now suing the CDC and the administration, suing to cruise. Alaska joins that. A lot of people say, look, even if Alaska does get the go-ahead to cruise, what are we going to do about Canada? I've had that question in the comments a few times. One of 2 things have to happen. First one might be the easiest one for the United States. They just need to give out an exemption for the Passenger Vessel Services Act. The Passenger Vessel Services Act is the law that's in place that prevents cruise lines from going from one U.S. port to another without a foreign stop. It's an act in place to protect, maritime business, U.S. business interest. So the shortest path to Alaska cruising would just be to issue exemptions to that Passenger Vessel Services Act. And then the longer pole in the tent is to get some sort of compromise from Canada. Normally when you cruise to Alaska, you stop at a Canadian port. Right now there's a cruise ban in Canada until February 2022. So that makes a challenge for cruises to Alaska. There has been some rhetoric out there that Senator Murkowski's been working with the administration to talk to Canada to try to get some sort of compromise. But the big takeaway here is the governor in Alaska is no longer waiting to see what happens. He is taking action, and he is joining in Florida in suing the CDC and the administration, suing to cruise. Of course, that leaves us with a lot of questions. What's going to happen here in Florida when cruising restarts? Will cruise lines bend the knee and not require vaccines? Will there be compromise from the government here in Florida to allow cruise lines to ask the vaccine status of the passengers? And will these lawsuits do anything? Why? It's been I don't know how many days it's been. It's been over a week on the lawsuit. When is this thing going to hit court? I'm interested to see how it plays out. Thank you so much for watching the show. Please show your support by hitting the like button. You got to check this video out that YouTube recommends. This is Tony with Lido Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.